Thanks. And yeah, I have quite a few questions, so hopefully we can get brief answers. Okay. On a simple calculation, Frank and Catherine, we are going to deliver 2,318 new social homes by the end of 2026. But we have 2,458 households currently on the housing waiting list. We have another 1,768 that are in RAS or HAPS tenancies who are also on waiting lists. And you project, as of this July, that a further 2,825 will join the list over the next 5 years. Therefore, on a simple calculation, we'll have a worse housing crisis in Dunleary and a bigger waiting list in 2026 than we have now. How is that an adequate response to the housing crisis in Dunleary? And sorry, one other question, supplementary connected to that. How many housing applicants have been removed from the housing list because they've gone over the housing threshold over the last number of years? Have we got those figures?
Housing for All sets out a target for countrywide, which is 51,000, and there's 27,000 in the delivery pipeline. So the targets then for each county were set out, and similarly for ourselves, in terms of social, it was 1,994. We project that we'll deliver more than that, and that's a realistic target based on the staff that we have, the resources that we have, the money that we're going to get from central government, and the money the AHBs in our area are going to get from central government. So the lists, you mentioned the figures that I have here are broadly similar. There's 3,700 on the waiting list. 2,352 of those are the in relation to Dunleary with the primary authority, and then we have the people on half, the 1,500. But it's still a very significant delivery over the period 2022 to 2026, and there's a lot of resources, a lot of work going into that.
I take that point, but let's be clear then. I'm correct. Okay, we're going to have 4,400 people, households on the list at the end of this plan, when we currently have, according to the figure you've just given, about 3,000. Now, I just want to say that is a grim scenario, and I don't blame you, right? But that's just not good enough. We have got a flippin' disaster in Dunleary, right? And the suffering it is causing people is just beyond acceptability. So we've got a plan that is going to leave us in a worse position in 4 years' time than we are in now. I mean, I honestly feel like just, pulling my hair out when I hear this. So this has to be called for what it is. And that's what the figures are telling us. So, I mean, let's just be clear what we're talking about, because I understand the difficulty and I understand that this is more than we've done before, but that is the factual position. We're going to be in a worse position in 4 years' time than we are now. Unless you're going to tell me there's something else that I'm missing from these figures.
No, I'm not going to tell you there's something else missing, but I suppose what I am going to say is that 1,564 of those, you're right, are on HAP. They are in receipt of the supplement for housing called HAP, and they are on a transfer list, but they are actually housed. And I know there are some difficulties and some are on notice to quit and whatever, but they are actually housed, and some people are quite happy in HAP. So there is that to be taken into account. The state is paying for them and they are actually housed. So.
Okay, but when you add, don't forget, even if you just take those currently on the list and then put against that what you're planning to build, even that will fall short. But then you add to that the 2,825 that you expect to come on the list in the next few years, and we are now thousands in a worse position, thousands of people extra on the list at the end of it. So to me, that is just, something has to be done, right? We have to do more. Now, the government need to know this, but we have to do more. And I presume we don't have an answer to how many applicants have been removed from the housing list over the years that are covered in the 218 to 221.
I'm afraid I don't have those figures with me, but I can get them for you. So.
Okay, I would request that, because we need to know how many people are being removed because of the failure to raise the income thresholds. Can I ask, you use the phrase, we're not actively in the market. Now, I've been urging the government to go into the market and buy houses, particularly where people are facing homelessness. And the government are saying now their policy is shifting on this, but you're saying, quote, not actively in the market, right? And we need clarity on this. Is there an active policy to purchase houses, given these shortfalls, given the number of people going into homelessness, or is there not? Very specifically, what is happening with St Helens Court? Remember 15 empty units, a number of tenants still under threat of eviction for a few years now. Are we going to buy that apartment block?
I think I would say that we're not actively in the market, in that we're not out there purchasing properties. However, it has been, we have spoken earlier about properties with tenants in situ, and we are looking at those, but we're not actively out there acquiring and, acquiring units, because and there isn't actually that many for sale anyway, as you're probably aware, in Dunleary, but we're not actively in that market, no. That doesn't mean we wouldn't buy something, no.
Okay, well, fair enough.
St Helens. St Helens, as you know, I think Deputy is being looked at by an AHB, and they are, and I know it's taken some time, but there are some due diligence issues that they're looking at, and I contacted them only yesterday, and they're still engaged in that process.
Okay, I've 30 seconds. Just want to ask.
Just to be clear, we are in the business of acquiring properties where there's a risk of homelessness. We are looking at that between now and the end of the year. That is a priority. I mentioned that earlier.
Okay, how many affordable houses are we going to get in Cherrywood, and how much are they going to cost? And do we have any idea how much the affordable and the cost rental are going to cost in Shangana when it's constructed? And very lastly, Kelly's Hotel, which is in the ownership of the council and has been empty for about 20 years. What is happening to it? Kelly's Hotel, George's Place in Dunleary.
Okay. Now, in Cherrywood, obviously we'll get to 10% Part 5, and then you'll get 10% affordable when the regs kick in as well. But there's certainly interest there as well in terms of coming through the new schemes that we spoke about earlier, coming through local authorities as turnkey, coming through the LDA, coming through the AHBs as through the CREL scheme. So look, all that is ongoing. There's a lot of units coming on stream. There's 3,700 either on-site or with planning permission, with more to come through. There will be approximately 10,500 units come through over the next number of years. So the minimum 10% social affordable, but then you will have the other ones that will come on stream as well. The rents in Shangana, we spoke about earlier, not calculated yet. If I was to estimate, I'd say about 1,500, but it's an exercise that's being done and will have to be done. It'll depend on the outturn cost. So the purchase, the cost rental is what I'm talking about, the 1,500 in cost rental. Yeah, Kelly's Hotel, I don't know, Catherine, do you want to come in there?
Briefly, as you can, because we're over time, or if you want to.
Well, I think Kelly's Hotel, there's a couple of areas that I think that we are looking at in terms of refuge accommodation, but I'm not sure that will end up in that way. But it is actually being looked at for that, not for housing, though.